Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bacon Buddies podcast. Once again, we are together here, two pig farming buddies. My name is Chad.
My name's Marlowe, and I'm a pig farmer from Wayne County, North Carolina, and we're here to talk to you about food, farming, and friendship, and everything is on the table.
Everything is on the table today. We have got a lot to talk about today on a particular subject, but first of all, Marlowe, tell me something good.
Tell
me something good.
We were copying somebody else on that, so actually we probably need to edit that
It's
out.
been 2 weeks since we were together recording, so something good happened in the last 2 weeks, I'm sure.
Yeah, there's been a lot of things good that's happened, I feel like. The weather's changing. It's getting warmer.
Yeah.
That is something good for me.
Yeah.
I don't like cold weather.
Yeah, and it was so rainy. Now, I appreciate the rain for sure, but I was just glad to see a little bit of sunshine and some spring-like temperatures.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm
for sure.
ready for warm weather. And I think my hogs are too. I think my hogs perform better when it's a little bit warmer.
When the curtains come down.
Exactly.
Oh, man, that's good. Well, we also had a local fire this week, kind of a big one too.
Oh, yes.
At the National Salvage and Service Corporation.
Mm-hmm. In Dudley.
I was thinking that was Marmac, but that's Dudley.
Yeah, it was in Dudley. It's very close to Marmac.
Okay.
It's not actually very far from my farm, the ham farm.
Really?
Yeah, very close. You could see the fire burning.
Oh, wow.
I guess, I think the main thing I want to say about it is thank all the first responders
Yep.
that showed up, all our, Goldsboro responders and firemen and all our volunteer firemen and Seymour Johnson Air Force Base.
Mm-hmm.
Fire crew was out there. So we had a lot of local responders out there responding and firemen. So we just want to thank everybody who got out there and contained that fire and the good Lord too for sending the rain afterwards.
Oh yeah, on Saturday or Sunday was
Mm-hmm.
it? It really rained pretty good. I know because I was going through my pigs Sunday morning and it was raining and a feed motor was bad and I had to fix it.
It's always something. That's what people don't understand about farming. It is 24/7.
Yeah,
7 days a week, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's the weekend.
It doesn't matter. There was, as I thought about that fire and I thought about my fire department that I'm on at Pleasant Grove in my neighborhood. We've got a lot of farmers on our fire department, quite a few, but just a great group of volunteers. And I know for us, and I'm sure at this fire, it probably happened too, but when we have big fires like that, our community jumps into action. Our local grill where we eat at in the mornings, they start making sandwiches. Our ladies auxiliary kicks in. They start bringing water and drinks. It's just a few hours before we're getting fed on the scene and whatnot. So just a community effort when something like that happens. I'm sure it happened in Dudley too.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, especially in rural communities like ours, how many volunteer firefighters are actually firemen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a majority. My volunteer fire department is Elroy and Seven Springs, and a lot of the firemen and women that are on those with those groups are farmers.
Yeah.
So thank you for
thank you
public service.
All our volunteers. That's
absolutely
right. Yeah. For sure. So today, we're going to be talking about Proposition 12. Proposition 12, it's been, it's really a crazy thing, and I'm glad we're going to talk about it today. I've been kind of knowing about Proposition 12 since 2018. It was a ballot initiative from California that set really arbitrary standards on the space provided to animals, especially egg-laying hens, veal calves, and breeding sows. But California not only it didn't just apply to Californians, but they said anybody that sells products from these animals in their state had to apply to these standards that they were setting. And before we get too far into this, I want to thank Michael Formica, who's a chief legal strategist at National Pork Producers Council, for helping us kind of get together some of these facts that we're going to share with folks today. So,
yeah, I think it's a really important issue that
yeah.
people, especially consumers, just aren't aware of when it comes to the bottom line of food cost.
Yeah.
And what these implications, what happens to the cost of food at the end of the day when these implications are put in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, the way that this particular law got put in place, or is trying to get put in place, was through a ballot initiative. So this was put on a ballot, and the voters in California were given a question that they had to vote on, yes or no. And it's really insane just how this question was worded.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest problem, is that the consumers' lack of knowledge. When you put the wording on a ballot like this, it really scares you into voting for something that you don't understand the effects that has on the farmer.
Yep. Yep. So let's talk about this question. Here's how it was proposed to the voters in California. On the ballot, it said, should farm animals be protected from extreme forms of cruel treatment?
I mean, if I wasn't a farmer and read that, I'd be like, well, yes.
Even if I was a farmer.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. Exactly. I mean, you're exactly right.
I know, but I mean,
yeah, I'd be like, oh, absolutely. Oh my goodness. Check yes.
Check yes. Yep.
No
brainer.
Yeah, no brainer. I mean, it's so, and that's the problem when organizations like this put that kind of wording in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, the details of the bill, in order for voters to learn more about it so that they were informed about what they were voting on, they had to go to the Secretary of State and read through a 200-page document that outlined what Proposition 12 was about.
Who's going to take that?
Who's got that time? Who has that? I mean,
no one. No one's going to take the time to really do the due diligence it takes to understand what Prop 12 really was.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, one of the things I think about was once it was voted on and they approved it, now California is faced with creating a set of regulations in order to enforce it. And they're going to have to go, if they're going to tell North Carolinians how they raise their animals, they're going to have to send somebody to North Carolina to look and see, where's that egg coming from?
Oh, and at the end of the day, and we're going to get a little bit into egg prices, and this goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, with high path avian influenza, which is really wreaking havoc on the poultry industry right now. That people understand has had a lot of effective price on eggs, which is carried by wild migratory birds. So, you know, Californians are seeing a lot of that in their flock, and when they have that kind of issues, and they can't source eggs from other states because these are the only standards that they have, but they don't have the layers to produce the eggs, and they can't source these eggs from anywhere else. So they're seeing this increase, you know, $10, $12 a dozen of eggs, but they won't allow other states to step in because, hey, they believe this is the only way that you raise an egg. Like, this is the only way. California sets a standard, and nobody else, you know, can participate. This is the way it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think about the wild birds that carry it. I mean, you think about your outside flocks, people that want to raise birds outside. Those flocks are going to be more susceptible to HPAI, whereas a bird that maybe housed in a barn would be less susceptible to it, but they've still been impacted greatly from this. We've lost a lot of birds this year or last year.
And at the end of the day, you know, it's one thing that the consumer doesn't understand when they're seeing this spike in egg prices is the issues from high path avian influenza. And they just don't know, and they assume that, you know, I had the most interesting conversation with a friend of mine, and they were like, you know, are farmers fixing the price?
Really?
Yes. I mean, I was like, no. I mean, how? And my question back was like, how do you think farmers fix the price? You know, what makes you believe that it's us dictating supply and demand? I mean, we aren't intentionally infecting our livestock with any kind of disease. You know, it doesn't come back on the farmers, you know. And the consumer sets so much of the price with the demands that
that's true.
They want from farmers, but they don't understand, you know, what it really means when it comes to raising eggs or pork for you and I, and what it really takes. And we talk about this a lot on the show, you know, to get pork to their plates and how many hands it takes to get there. And it's not just,
just a few.
Yeah, it's why I hate the term factory farm all the time. I cannot stand that term. It's a made up term that some organizations created to degrade us as farmers. I wish it was that easy.
Yep. Matter of fact, when I'm leaving here, I'm going down to Piggly Wiggly, and I'm going to be adjusting some prices on some pork chops. Got my pen in my pocket.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, I thought I was going to call y'all and be like, hey, man, let's get together and I want to decide what the price is this week.
Yeah, this week I'll decide.
I won't tell you what you're going to pay me.
Oh man, this is crazy. But so now California has banned the sale of conventional eggs in their state. So you can no longer buy a conventional egg in California. All you can buy is cage-free eggs. And really what really upsets me is that the food insecure are the ones that are affected the most. Those are the folks that when these prices go up, it's costing them more. They may have to go without. And that's really, it's upsetting. It really is.
It is very upsetting. I read a statistic recently that said 1 in 3 children in this country are food insecure. I mean, it really is. And you got to think about, we'll take my county, for instance, Wayne County, North Carolina. The average median income from a family in my rural area is $25,000 to $30,000 a year.
Wow.
So, I mean, when these folks are going into the grocery store, their main concern is price.
Yeah.
I mean, period. They want a safe, healthy product. Yep. That's what conventional farming is creating. And when they're going in the store, they're just hoping they have the money to pay for a dozen eggs this week.
It's tough. I mean, and I'll tell you, when I go to the grocery store, I'm concerned about price.
Oh, yeah.
Our food bill has been going up from the grocery store in the last year, and it is concerning, even for myself. But as I look at California and they've banned the sale of conventional eggs, 2 other states I know of have done so also, Colorado as well as Washington.
And I think Massachusetts.
Well, I know they got question 3 in Massachusetts, which is a similar similar
standard, right?
To Proposition 12,
right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, and at the end of the day, again, I think this all comes back, and the way that things like this get on the ballot is misinformation and uneducation when it comes to ag, because the average consumer is now 4 or 5, 6 generations removed from the farm.
Yep.
And I feel like agriculture is the only industry that people want us to go back in time.
Yeah.
They want us to go back to the
old days.
To the old days.
Yeah.
I don't want the old days. I don't want how my daddy did it. I want to be more efficient. I want to be better. Yeah. I want the best technology. I want the best science.
I want my running water.
Right, exactly. I want to raise my hogs indoors for a reason. And I want to do what's best for my farm and have access to that kind of technology and science to make it better for if my kids wanted to come back to the farm.
Sure, so, I agree. So let's talk a little bit about the impact on the pork industry Proposition 12 is going to have if it goes into place. Let's just talk about the conversion process. I mean, if you are going to convert your farm, which would primarily be the sow farm, which is where the pigs are born, you're going to have to spend some money to upgrade and make these spaces bigger for the animals. And it's not just a little bit bigger. It's like 42% bigger. So a farm, just say they had 1,000 sows. Now they're only going to be able to have 600 sows. That's a lot. I mean, let me just cut your salary by 40%, Marlowe, and send you to the grocery store and see what you come out with.
And it's an interesting thing to think too, because farmers' main concern on their farms for livestock is a prosperous pig is a happy pig.
Yes.
So I mean, we would never do anything intentionally to make our pigs uncomfortable or not safe or not happy in a sense, because they're not going to produce.
Mm-hmm.
And this population is supposed to double by 2050. And how are we going to be able to feed those people if we're having to cut our production down, from these Prop 12s by what? If we're cutting down from 1,000 sows to 600, I mean,
40%.
we're seeing a 40%
Yeah.
loss in production. Again, you're going to see that. It's all about supply and demand. You're going to see that in the grocery store.
And it's going to be on the price tag.
Right. And again, that's not farmers
Yeah.
deciding the price.
That's right.
That is actually the consumer.
Well, that's the voters in California deciding.
Yes. Who I mean, I don't know what California is on hog production, but I know that North Carolina is number 2 in pork production, and we're number 2 for a reason, because we're really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And why we're good at it is because we take care of our animals.
Right. Yeah. And we're leaders in science, in technology and science. Like, I cannot scream that enough because of our land-grant university, NC State University, Mount Olive University, North Carolina A&T. I mean, they're leaders in these kind of technologies that are improving livestock production.
Yep. There's just a lot of adverse conditions that'll happen if Prop 12 takes place.
So where sorry, go ahead.
You go ahead.
So where is Prop 12 now for pork in California? Like,
okay, so just from my understanding, the egg folks decided not to fight Proposition 12 in California, whereas the pork industry decided we're going to stand up against this, and it was a good thing. So right now, the National Pork Producers Council, as well as the American or the Farm Bureau or
American
Farm Bureau, team together to combat this this Prop 12, to challenge it. And the case was accepted and heard by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Wow,
that is a pretty big deal when you think about the Supreme Court. I mean, of the 8,000 cases that they are presented with every year, they only hear about 60 to 70 cases. That's less than 1%. And this case made it to the Supreme Court.
Well, I think it's important, and it should have.
Yeah, it absolutely
because at the end of the day, it's kind of about national security.
It really is, and that's one of the reasons we think they accepted to hear the case. It says Michael says that while the case is about pigs and pig farming, the court sees the principles involved, a state regulation of commercial activities that take place far outside its borders, as applicable across the economy and central to many of the major political disputes currently underway. It really does have some wide, broad impacts if it were to be those restrictions put in place. So, oh man, it's
just hard to break down Prop 12 because you wonder like how we even got here.
Yeah.
How that we're letting one state or states dictate an entire agricultural system.
Yeah.
That's been working and has withstood it is only improved. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've reduced our carbon footprint so much. I mean, I'm striving for the carbon neutral pig. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's so interesting to see these states say, hey, actually, stop with your leading science and technology, and you're going to do it our way.
Yeah. And another thing that's disappointing for me is I think about the money that we've spent. Our trade association, North Carolina Pork Council, has spent a lot of money on having amicus briefs written for the courts and other organizations as well. There's 20 other organizations that filed amicus briefs on this case. And it's expensive. You don't just write one of those. You have to hire somebody that knows what they're doing to write an amicus brief for the court. So,
can you imagine if that money was spent to use
for something good?
Yeah, for something good.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine like all the time and the money that's gone into starting Prop 12 from the anti-agricultural groups? I wish they would, meet us at the same table and instead of it always being such a fight. Like, if we could just understand each other a little bit better and they would meet us in the middle.
Yeah.
Just imagine how much good would be done and how much money that we could save to improve, to even make everything better.
Yeah.
Than just saying, hey, this is how you're going to do it.
And let's talk about biosecurity for a second. Just think about the sow farm is really the most biosecure area in pig farming. There's no question about it. People shower in and shower out, so no disease can be brought into a sow farm. And now we're going to need, in order to be Prop 12 compliant, you're going to have inspectors from California coming on your farm, traveling across the nation I mean, that is just a recipe for disaster. It's like the wild birds flying around.
I wonder how much their carbon foot is for the planes they're going to have to fly around to
To
check
fly
these
them down
farms.
here. Yeah.
Like, I mean, in all seriousness, like, what is their what's the jet fuel carbon footprint of them having to fly around and inspect all our farms so we can sell pork into California? I mean, it gets. I just kind of brought it to my attention. Like, isn't that kind of like
hypocritical?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. I mean, are you kidding me? Like, you're gonna come over here and tell me how to farm my animals and talk about their the way that we raise them when we're the experts, but you're gonna fly over here in a jet and
can you pick me up at airport so I can criticize you on your carbon footprint?
Yeah. I mean, seriously,
Yeah.
it is like the biggest joke
Lecture you.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the biggest joke I've ever heard. I mean, and when did California become the like standard of everything? I'm not trying to beat up on California, like I love America, all of America.
Yeah.
But I mean, come on.
Well, at the end of the day, the voters in California were duped into this. I mean, the question that we talked about earlier in the podcast, there's no question that they were tricked.
Well, yeah, and it even says from my notes here that it was like even a fight between PETA and the Humane Society.
Yeah.
I mean, they were even fighting amongst themselves. Like one wanted it completely.
The PETA wanted
no eggs.
No eggs
sold.
Yeah.
Like you couldn't even buy eggs in California. And HSUS was saying, no, you can, but you have to do it this way. Like their own groups that are trying to get these are fighting amongst themselves. Like, what are you?
Marlowe, I love my eggs.
Yeah, I mean, seriously. Like, I mean, what a group just wants no eggs.
No eggs.
No eggs. Forget that really great source of protein that can.
What are you going to cook with your R.D. Jones sausage if you don't have
I
some
know.
eggs?
That's the only thing that goes with my R.D. Jones sausage. Just bacon and eggs.
Bacon and
And
eggs.
what a good source of protein and a economical, cost for a medium family income to go purchase in the grocery store.
Yep.
And you want to take that away? I mean, it's.
Yeah, I saw one news article where WIC people that were receiving WIC benefits could only get 1 dozen. They were limited to 1 dozen eggs. Once again, goes back to what I talked about: food insecurity, or the people that are most impacted by some of these decisions. And I just can't get over. Who knows better how to care for their animals than the farmer? When you got voters deciding how people should care for their animals, it's just unbelievable to me how this has made it through the system. I think also there was 12 ballot initiatives on the ballot that year in California.
Related to ag or just in general?
I don't know if they were all related to ag, but this was one of them. It's odd that there was 12 and there was 12, right?
Probably right.
12.
Oh, yeah. Maybe this was the last one. We're going to sneak 12 in there.
Yeah. Well, the ballot initiative system in California is clearly dysfunctional and broken. It needs some upkeep.
Absolutely. That kind of wording put on a ballot. I mean,
it's like asking somebody have they quit beating their wife, isn't it?
Yes. I mean, it is shocking that was allowed to be put on there. Yeah. That kind of wording. I mean, what a slap in the face to somebody involved in agriculture who's out here working these farms every day, blood, sweat, and tears, for them to read something like this about their production style.
Yeah.
I mean, that couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, do you think an egg that was uncomfortable and happy would lay an egg? I'm serious. I mean, like, no, they would if conventional laying hens are not happy, they're not going to lay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't have to,
That's how our taking good care of our animals is what creates the performance. I mean, we got to take care of these animals.
And what we feed them. And I mean, that could be its own podcast too. I mean, the care and I mean, we can sit here and break down phytost in here. I mean, about what we put in our feed to make our animals better.
Absolutely. Oh man, this is a good topic. The Supreme Court has heard this. It happened on October the 11th last year.
So where are we? I mean, are we just like waiting for them to make a decision?
We are waiting for a decision right now, and I think from what I've understood, it should come anytime. So we're going to be doubling back to Proposition 12 here in a couple of weeks or months, for sure. Letting folks know what took place.
I mean, at this point, I'm like,
yeah.
If you could see me right now, I'm like biting my nails, like, oh my god.
And it looks like even if they do rule in our favor, we'll be back in court.
Oh, they won't stop fighting.
It takes forever to these things to get through.
Well, I can promise you, if some of these systems are forced on farmers, they'll just stop.
Oh,
I mean, why? I mean, there's a point where you'll regulate us out of business.
Yeah.
I mean, what?
That's exactly right.
I mean, that's the truth.
The goal.
I mean, yeah, that's what they want, especially PETA, who said, well, let's just ban eggs altogether.
We don't need them.
Nobody's going to be eating any eggs in California, but if you are, going to pay $40 a dozen.
$40 a dozen for eggs. I can't imagine.
Well, I'm interested to see what happens. And we'll definitely keep everybody posted on the podcast of what the verdict is on Prop 12.
Yeah, me too. We got some shows coming up. We got some more to record. We're going to be working on our backdrop a little bit. We may get some coffee mugs or
that's so legit.
Yeah, we're gonna be dialing this place up a little bit. But it's been great to be here and chatting with you, Marlowe. I think these are some important topics.
Yeah.
We got some important ones on queued up.
Absolutely.
We're gonna be talking about, and I think we did a good job covering Prop 12 today.
Man, I just said absolutely again. I've been like Chad and I watched back our first episode, and I never knew I said like the same words over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, you just absolutely. Everything's just great. Absolutely. So I'm trying to work on cutting out my absolutely part.
Yeah. We sound so country when you listen to yourself on recording.
I know. I got to try to keep that Wayne County in check. You know what I mean?
I got the Duplin County coming. Northern Duplin County is coming in full effect
here. But Chad and I have enjoyed doing this. Like I said, we're farmers here in North Carolina, and we're just here to talk about things that are going on in agriculture, whether it's pork or, in this case, eggs and some
pork, yeah.
Some political
and veal calves.
Yeah, and veal calves and Prop 12, which is, much higher on the political scale than probably my brain capacity. But, we're just here to give you a real view of what farmers think and feel about these issues that everybody talks about within agriculture, but nobody seems to talk to farmers about it.
Yep. All right, so it's time for the farm fact of the day as we close our podcast out today. Marlowe, I got a couple here. What do you think?
You pick one. I feel like I picked the last one.
All right, I think we'll talk about how much the pork industry in North Carolina contributes to the economy.
That's a great one.
It's a lot.
I wish we could have somebody call in and guess, like we are a radio show. You're going to win two tickets to AgFest at Mount Olive University if you can guess.
Yep. How much money the pork industry contributes to North Carolina's economy? $10 billion. Marlowe, what could you do with $10 billion?
A lot of good. I promise you that. I'd want to, anyways.
I wouldn't want to spend it on amicus briefs. That's for sure.
No, I would not either. I would try to help the people that needed it. But that's a lot of money. I also heard that we're the number one cash receipt.
Okay.
For North Carolina, that the agriculture was.
Yeah. I know Troxler has been trying to get it over that $100 billion mark for the last couple years. I'm not sure. Are we quite there yet?
I think
we're in the 90s, maybe mid and high 90s.
Probably. Very close.
Very close.
I would love to have Troxler on the show.
Oh, this is a call out, Mr. Troxler.
So Steve Troxler, if you're out of state of North Carolina, is our North Carolina Ag Commissioner. So he would actually know some great like economic input facts that we could use. But I mean, $10 billion.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, especially for our rural areas.
But I tell you what, it's a lot of work too. We put in a lot of work.
Yes.
Good gracious, it's been busy lately on the farm, and it's just been a lot of work. That $10 billion. I'm working towards it.
Me too.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining the Bacon Buddies podcast. You can find us at Bacon Buddies Podcast. We're going to be, we got an Instagram and YouTube set up now. We'll probably be on some streaming services here soon, podcast services. So look forward to seeing everybody there. Awesome. Have a good day, Marlo.
You too, buddy.
All right, take care, buddy.
All right, bye.